Hi guys, it's Devin Wyndham again. Please support me through PayPal at devinwyndham@gmail.com. That's devinwyndham@gmail.com. All lowercase, one word, and I will repeat that PayPal information in the comments. Also, please subscribe to my channel. In this video, so my channel so far, I just started my channel, but my channel so far is mostly devoted to math. I really like math. And in this video, I guess I just wanted to talk about my life, in particular my relationship with math and to a lesser extent physics. But math and physics are sort of the same subject. They were sort of both invented by Isaac Newton, so it's sort of the same thing. But anyway, let's just get into my relationship growing up with math. So I can remember, like, in the, I don't know, maybe I was 9. My brother and my father would be talking about math and how they could do these mental calculations. My brother is 2.5 years younger than I am, and I felt bad because math was really hard for me. I couldn't really do mental math. It seems like I have this memory of being in the 3rd grade, and the teacher would give us like these sheets. I was born in 1975, so in the 3rd grade it was, we didn't really have computers. They would give us these like worksheets to do in class. We didn't really have homework in the 3rd grade. And it seems like I was always the last person to finish these like math worksheets. Always the last person in the class, or frequently that's what my memory is telling me. And my memory is also telling me that not only was I the last person, but that I was the last person like a long shot. Maybe I would finish 20 minutes after the other last person. And so like I have this memory of everybody else being outside playing and I would be inside trying to finish this worksheet. And then it seems like on top of that, almost all the problems, if not all of them, I would get wrong. And then it seems like I would have these big ugly numbers. I would write with this big ugly handwriting. And I remember once my mom was looking at one of my worksheets and she said, "Well, Devin, if you were to write smaller, you could go faster," because maybe she knew it was taking me a long time. But so I guess what I'm saying so far is like math was hard for me in that sense. But it seems like I also had a saving grace, and that was, as long as I can remember, I've had a desire to sort of not trust other people. That can be good and bad, but basically I want to know for myself. I want to figure out things for myself. I was always very curious. I was asking why. I think I remember I have this memory of asking so many questions. Like when I was about 3 or so, my father would say, "Devin, you ask too many questions." I would say like, "Why is the sky blue? Why this, why that?" I remember, well, when I grew up, both of my parents worked, so I would have babysitters. I remember once, we had an analog clock in the hallway, and the babysitter would say, "What time is it?" And I went and looked at the clock and said, "Oh, it's like 3:10. And I said to her, "But don't you want to verify yourself?" Because I'm trying to illustrate that I would want to find out for myself. I wouldn't trust other people. I wouldn't feel comfortable, I guess I was just for asking somebody what time it was and to look at the clock. I would want to go and see for myself. And maybe part of that was, the thinking was, telling time with an analog clock can be hard. It's not like today with a digital clock, you just read off the numbers. So my 3-year-old self was thinking, I know this is hard. I'm not sure I would trust somebody else to like read the hands correctly. And the other was, I guess I was always sort of, I don't know, odd in some way, but I would think like, I think I was sort of also mature for my age, because I was thinking like people might round. I also like to be very exact. Like I would, like, if I want to know the time, I want to know to the minute. But I think I knew as my 3-year-old self, people might just round the time. Like if it's 3:07, they might round it up to 3:10. I think that's what I was thinking. Anyway, the babysitter said, "No, I'm fine trusting you. I don't need to see for myself." I just thought that was odd. But it was sort of that, I guess, spirit that I was born with of curiosity and wanting to find things out for myself that led me to, even though clearly I had some learning issues when it came to math, at least I had this desire to understand it for myself and not just take things on faith. So illustrating like this. So like I think in the 3rd grade, those worksheets may have been on, let's say, long division. And so I guess I was missing the problems. But I have this memory, and I'm pretty sure it was true, in the 3rd grade, I wanted to understand why the long division algorithm works, why the recipe, as it were, why the rules. The teacher will tell you this is how you do long division with pencil and paper. This is what you do. I didn't content myself just to follow those rules. I wanted to know why it worked. Like, why does the long division algorithm, with the remainder and all that, give you the right answer? So I just looked at, I guess, an example problem on the board long enough for me to convince myself that it worked. Okay, and that's basically, in a nutshell, I think I'm a good mathematician now. And I think it's because of that desire to understand. Even though clearly I sort of was like sloppy and bad and slow, at least I have that desire to understand things and not just take them on faith, as it were. And I think, that's helped me. But we go in phases. So, it's the educational system, I guess, because there's just so much information to learn, that teachers and books frequently just give you facts, and I'm talking about math now, so let's say a mathematical fact or a physics fact, and just tell you to memorize it, because I guess the thinking is it'll take too long to prove everything, or maybe some proofs are beyond the student's level. And that happened to me too. I was so I went to school through the 4th grade, and then after the 4th grade I was homeschooled. So in my homeschooling I would basically just go through books. So I would just learn math by going through a book and doing the exercises, going through books. And the books are like what I was saying. So the books I went through they would prove some things, and I'm grateful for that. I think it helps. But other things that I think the book thought would be beyond my level, they would just basically say, memorize this. And so I did. I wish, I had kept up my curious spirit and tried to prove more of the math that I was doing, although I think it would have been hard at my level. Anyway, I was, at this time, what are we talking about now? How old am I? Maybe 13, 14, 11, I don't know. I'm entering math competitions, like the, what do they call it, the American AMC or whatever. Back then it was like the HSMA. They changed the names from time to time, But anyway, I didn't have very much luck with math competitions. And I think it's because I had sort of lost that curiosity I had in the 3rd grade. I guess because, there's just, the books I was reading, there were just so many times they would just say, memorize this. But anyway, I had boxes of flashcards. I think I was, in retrospect, looking at now that I'm more mature, I was emphasizing memory too much and not emphasizing understanding enough. So to prepare for these math competitions, I had lots of flashcards, 3x5 cards. And when I say boxes, I just mean they weren't that big, just maybe a big matchbox. But I had, I don't know, 200, 300 flashcards of mathematical facts. I guess I was trying to memorize my way through to win a math competition. Well, it didn't work. It didn't work for me. It probably wouldn't work for most people because, as I've come to understand, I think in math, and this goes for physics too, math and physics are basically the same thing. In math, understanding is more important than memorizing, and it took me sort of a long time to really take that to heart. As I said, I was homeschooled after the 4th grade, although starting in the 9th grade, I moved to France and did go to school. So I went to school in France in the 9th grade. And I discovered some things they were doing differently in math in France. One of them was that they were writing with pens. In America, I think we write with pencils a lot, and I guess it's so that to encourage pencils so that we can erase. But in France at that time, this was the early 90s. I first moved to France in 1989. The teachers would encourage writing with a pen, I guess because they think it looks prettier. And with different colors and rulers. So this goes for physics too. And I fell in love with that. The French were very neat. They would like to use certain paper and do things with pen with different colors. So your notes and your homework were very neat. And I think that increased my love of math and physics. I already liked math and physics, but I think it helps me like them more, just doing that nice, neat work. What else? So, fast forward a bit to college. I was a math major in college, but I was still, I think, not emphasizing understanding enough. Still, because it's just hard to get through college. You have so many courses to get through. It's hard to, I guess, understand everything. So, I would take these shortcuts, as I think we all do, of just memorizing things. So I think I'm a good mathematician now. I've graduated from college, but I don't really think I became a good mathematician until after college, even though I was a math major, because it was then that I started to go back and prove a lot of math facts to myself that I had just taken on faith, just accepted them because there wasn't time. And it was this proving things to myself that really helped me, I think, progress as a mathematician and as a physicist. Again, the math and physics are the same, basically. So I just want to illustrate, some things like that, like some facts that are frequently given to you to memorize instead of prove at a young age. So let's take the idea of pi. So pi can just be defined. I guess there's nothing to really understand or prove. Pi, I guess the definition is it's how many times the diameter goes into the circumference of a circle. How many times does the diameter go into the circumference? And it's about 3.14. So that's, you can understand that, that's fine. But then here's where the trouble gets. They'll tell you in school the area of a circle is pi r squared. And they'll tell you to just memorize that. And I can understand why, because I think the proof is hard. I'm not sure I ever really proved it to myself until after college. I did that recently. I could do it because I had the mathematical maturity. I think it would be hard for a high school student to do it, although I encourage you to at least try. Or at least what I would encourage you to do is make a sort of mental list of the math facts that you have actually proved to yourself or convinced yourself that are true, and the other math fun facts that you're just going to accept on faith because, the proof, you've tried to prove it to yourself. Try to prove everything to yourself, I guess. So just make a list of the ones that you've tried to prove to yourself and you think are just too hard, so you'll wait until maybe you get more advanced. So that's one thing that pi r squared. I think that does take some mathematical maturity. Though I think if you're in high school, you might be able to get it if you're persistent to prove that the area of a circle is pi r squared. What's another thing? The Pythagorean theorem. Yeah, frequently in America, or I guess in all countries, they just say memorize it. In France, they proved it when I was there in the 9th grade, and I think you can too. I would recommend trying it. Challenging yourself is always good. Whether you're in elementary school, junior high school, or college, try to prove these. Go back and try to prove these things. I highly recommend it. Like, try to prove the Pythagorean theorem to yourself. What else? Irrational powers. So you can basically, and I think you should, prove to yourself exponents, like the properties. I don't like to, teachers sometimes call about laws or laws of exponents or rules. I don't like that because it's not like there's some king of math that just orders things like there are rules. There are properties that follow from definitions. So I prefer to call them properties. So you can basically prove to yourself the properties of exponents if they're rational. Like, what I mean by a rational exponent is like 3 to the 7/8. 7/8 is a rational exponent. But in high school, they also sort of expect you to be able to play with irrational exponents, like 3 to the pi. Well, I mean, how are you even going to define 3 to the pi if pi is an irrational exponent? All right, I think we'll stop this video for now. Hopefully pick up this topic some other time. Again, please support me at PayPal, and please subscribe to my channel. I really like making these videos, and I'd like to have more time and resources to do it, but that means I need your support on PayPal. So please support me on PayPal. Bye.